All right, Grasshoppers, probably, if not the most popular 30 minutes in all the country, well, the world, really. When the great Mark, yes, right, universe, yes. When the great Mark Puttenvink shows up. How you doing there, brother?
Good morning. How are you?
Very good. How, I know you saw the doctor on Thursday.
Yes.
Yeah, everything's on course, not very.
He had the wrong chart, I think.
Oh.
Because he kept referring to me as Nancy Boy. My name's Mark.
Right. And he tried to do a prostate exam on you? Is that?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Apparently went to University of Buffalo because I found a ring later.
That was good. That was pretty sharp. I hadn't heard that one before. I ever tell you that? So I was coaching, so it's got to be 15, 20 years ago. I was coaching the kids hockey. And the one kid on our team, his father was a urologist. So, you go as you go to tournaments, you're sitting out in the hallway in the hotel, drinking beer with everybody, you get to be buddies with all these people. And all of a sudden he says, your prostate tested yet? I said, no. Tested. So he must have come to his office. Now, I guess I just didn't think through the process too much.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there at his desk. We're talking about the Rangers. He's a big Ranger fan, all that kind of stuff. He says, "Okay, up on the table, pull your pants down, up on the table." And I'm thinking, what? This guy that I drink beer with is now going to be. He's a pretty funny guy too. So the next time I went in, he's a real gentleman. So he comes out to the waiting room to bring in the patients, and a lot of them are older patients. And so he goes out to get me, and there's a bunch of people sitting in there, and I'm going, "Oh, doc, I'm all fired up for this visit. I've got cologne on. I took a shower the whole bit."
It would have been great if you said, "Tom, this is the 5th time you've been here this week."
Yeah. He wanted my PS levels, PSA levels were bouncing around a little bit, so he wanted to do a biopsy on my prostate.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They got this tool.
I have not had that done, thank goodness, but I can imagine that's not.
Oh, gosh. He's funny, too. So they put you on your side with your butt facing the doctor, obviously. So he gets me up on my side there. It's embarrassing. Here's your buddy, and you get your pants down and looking.
What are you talking about?
I know. And he goes, "Man, you got a big hole." Shut up. Oh, he's funny. He's good. Again, he goes to all the Ranger games and everything. So when I see him at the game, I'm around usually other alumni members or whatever. So we come over talking. I introduce him as the guy that sticks his finger up. He's a good guy though. Pretty funny. So again, somebody that doesn't know what's great Mark Puttenvink, his business is Patriot Training Systems. Does all kinds of training for military people, wives, in between. Trained with the New York Rangers, Boston or New England Patriots too, right? You're with them?
Yep, a little bit.
Yeah, good.
Well,
yep.
No, I was going to say, because I'm down so much, just reading and tripped across something. We talk about the cold showers, Tom.
Yeah.
And the physiological response in part is the dopamine release, which is the kind of thing that gets you jacked up and energized. So like caffeine does that to you. Certain music, how like you get in the gym, you crank up your particular music, it gets you motivated. Right. Well, I was listening to Dr. Andrew Huberman. He's on YouTube. He's all over on Joe Rogan. He's very, very educated doctor in terms of how we function. And what I took away from it is we have to monitor our self-regulation of dopamine, meaning that if you work out in the morning, which he said is the best time, and I agree, and you release a lot of dopamine either through a little caffeine or your music, or just the workout itself is going to release a lot of dopamine. Right. That you become, when you're done, you don't go back to a baseline level of dopamine. You go below that baseline.
Oh,
well, you have to let it recover. So what he's saying is, don't get wrapped up in like dopamine inducing stuff all day long. So don't get your workout and then go home and do the cold shower
right
away. So kind of regulate your dopamine releases so that it has time. It's an infinite amount, but it can be depleted. It needs to self-regulate. I thought about that. And when you think about it, Tom, after you got done playing a game, you're jacked up, right? You guys have to go out for dinner, 1:00 in the morning, you guys going out for dinner, and then all of a sudden, bang, you hit the wall, right?
Yeah.
And that's because you're still jacked up on the dopamine from the excitement of the game, competition, and you need to unwind. And then that's why we go into that crash mode, and that's when you kind of replenish your dopamine levels.
Did he say how long a period of time it takes to replenish?
He did not. So what I'm going to do, and I apologize for not being prepared for that, because I knew that was going to be, because that's my question. I'm going to research that and find out how to replenish and what the time frame is. Yeah.
All right. Well, that makes sense, because I had a fantastic workout the other day. Was it was it yesterday, I think it was. And then I go for the march at the beach every day. I was so fired up yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I did a video where I was dancing on the beach.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And I turned around.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was so into it, and I was just all by myself on the beach. I'm just standing there smiling and laughing. I'm going, and I think maybe the dopamine was still going because I was doing the dancing on the beach too. And I turned around, jumped in the air, turned around, smacked my ass.
Well, think about what is a celly.
Oh yeah.
You just had this big bath of dopamine. You're jacked up. You're feeling like you can take on anything.
Do you think it's possible to even without a workout or any supplements or anything like that, to increase your dopamine level just by your thoughts? Do you think you can do that?
Well, of course. Well, comedy is one.
Yeah.
Comedy, there was I forget who did it, but somebody who was critically ill, and he was a professor or researcher, medical guy, whatever. And all he did was watch comedy, like nonstop in his hospital room. And there was a reduction in his recovery time.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool. Because I get into watching all these videos now as people are doing videos, and a lot of the same music. Like there's this one thing where parents are doing, especially with young daughters, and there's a screaming thing where they go, ah, and it goes louder and louder and louder, and they get kids to do it. I get fired up watching that. It's cool.
Sure. The war chants. I mean, the Indian, Native Americans, and also just when guys hit the ice and before a game, you're all jacked up on dopamine. Yeah. But here's another thing too. Like you and I were talking before we got on here about testosterone levels and how we can regulate without putting anything artificial in our body. Hey, you want to get a good workout in, believe it or not, watch some kind of like combat.
Yeah.
Whether it's a combat sport or it's 50 greatest hockey hits, and then go to the gym because you're going to be jacked up, and your test level actually raises because it's your body's response to that stimulus.
Right. Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So this is actually a very good point, Danny. Are there days when you don't have a fantastic workout? You know what? I have learned, I'm sure Mark's going to say the same thing. No, I mean, I have maybe not as great a day, but I have learned to, even on those days where you don't feel well, like I keep telling the story all the time when we flew into Raleigh for a playoff game. Ron Gresham and I flew in with a bunch of fans. We came right back after the game, didn't get back to bed until 2:00 in the morning, and I got up at 3:30. I was so fired up. That was one of my best workouts I ever had because I knew that I was going to be tired and I had to push through it. I had to be mentally stronger than I was any other day, and it ends up being a great workout. So, yeah, you do have some days where it's maybe not as good, but you can really control. Like when somebody goes in the gym and says, I had a bad workout. Well, you allowed yourself to have a bad workout, right?
Yeah, I think, Danny, so I spoke to this a while back, but Pat McNamara, who was a Green Beret, but he's also really heavily involved in the fitness end of combat fitness. He says you want to go to 70% in your workouts because 70% workouts beats 100% workouts. Yeah. So if you're working out Monday and Thursday and you can't move the other days of the week, again, it really depends on what you're looking to do. If you're involved in a sport that you have to, like say weightlifting, where it's always a maximum effort, you have to train in that fashion.
Yeah.
You have to put 100% into 2 workouts a week, and you need that recovery time. But for an athlete who needs to perform consecutive nights or multiple times a week, you're better off staying in at 70% when you just feel, and you have all that dopamine going, and you feel physically like you've really peaked. Stop.
Yeah.
It's like walking away from the gambling table.
Yeah. That makes sense too. Yeah. I thought about that. But there is something about those days when you're going all out, like when you're done.
Take advantage of it, Tom. Absolutely. Because you will have the days where you're in a little bit of a lull. So
you know what I've started doing, and I try not to do it randomly, or I don't do it randomly. I try to go to the gym and meditate. It's easier for me at the gym because it's quieter, no dogs barking, and I'm at the gym by myself, right? So
here's what I would suggest to everybody and anybody. You need to journal every day of your life. Yeah. Not only your workouts, but how did you feel in the morning? Were you lethargic? Did you have energy? And also document what your intake is: food, hydration. Yep. What kind of mood were you in before you went in the gym? What kind of mood were you in after? Yeah. What kind of, so it's really, you can look back upon that and start to see patterns that will help you improve your workout and your lifestyle in general.
Yeah. Yeah, that discipline, and I'm trying to help a lot of people now, they want to lose weight, let's say, and they they don't quite get the concept sometimes that you can't just flip the discipline switch on to be disciplined in your diet. Your whole life has to be more disciplined. You don't have to be as bad as bad. You don't have to be as disciplined as maybe you and I, but like getting up at the same time every day, having your routine in the morning, all that kind of stuff is huge.
So I think you hit it on the head, Tom. My grandfather on my mother's side lived to be 98 years old, but he had a routine that when I tell you nothing broke his routine.
Right.
And I really think in combination with some other lifestyle things, like he grew his food, he slaughtered his food, never had a piece of processed food in his life.
Yeah.
There's other contributing factors, but I truly believe that if you lead you have to have, excuse me, like if you can't bowl, what do you put up the bumpers, right?
Yeah.
Right. So if you don't have those bumpers up in your life, you're going to go in the gutter, so to speak. And those gutters are, like we're talking about now, self-regulating and self-documenting what you're doing every day, because you can start to see what success leaves traits.
Right.
Right. And we talk about that in coaching. Hey, we had the puck 2/3 of the game. We won. Hey, we killed 4 out of 5 PKs. We won. So success leaves traits. And when you can look back at your journal and kind of chart your growth or your decline, you can see what you need to remove or what you need to add, for sure.
Totally. With your food, your workouts, all that stuff. Yeah, discipline is just, man, I found the more I'm disciplined in my process, if I get away from my process, it seems like it just messes me up entirely, right? It's like hard to get back on. Yeah.
Well, think about this, Tom. I'm sure my bottom dollar, you had a process before every game.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? Yeah. Golfers have a process before they line up for a putt, before they take a swing with the club. Yeah. You have to get into that kind of mindset. But you have to be careful also. Bill Brown, Navy SEAL, and I told the story, we were doing some mountain climb and I started to punch a tree and he looked at me and he goes, there's a fine line between being a hard guy and an idiot. And I said, okay, I get it. Yeah. I'm right now being an idiot. Just let me be an idiot for a while.
Yeah. That's everybody's opinion too, right? I mean, it's like your idiot may be different than somebody else's idiot, right?
Well, yeah, but I think I understood what Bill was saying. He said, listen, the only way we survive through buds and being a Navy SEAL is knowing where to take it to.
Right.
That you're not hurting yourself or putting yourself in a bad situation that you're not prepared for.
Yeah.
So I understand what he's saying, but that day in the journal, Hiked with Bill Brown was an idiot, was what I wrote.
In a good way. Well, anything in life that's worth doing is worth overdoing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I just think, and knowing full well, and I understand, I'm totally respect for Bill, but understand that you're going to fail at sometimes. We go all out and go to that point of failure because you're going to survive. I had a discussion with somebody, maybe it was you. Somebody made a comment about athletes in particular, but hockey players more so, about having that high pain tolerance.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's more that we've been hurt so many times. We know we're going to recover, so we just don't make that big of a deal about it, right?
And you don't want to be out of the lineup.
Yeah. Ooh.
So, how many times did you play with a back that you couldn't even tie your shoes?
Right? I know. The best one for me was I tore the tricep on my right arm.
Yeah.
So it was rolled up into a ball, and I told the trainer and I got together and said, "Don't tell anybody," because it's the kind of thing that it's just a doctor would get you out of the lineup. So in between periods, one time at the garden, I'm icing it, and the doctor walked in and he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just icing down my arm." So he grabbed the arm. He says, the muscles rolled up my ball and popped my arm. So yeah, it's been like that for 2 weeks now. So,
well, I'm gonna show my age, and who's a gentleman that has a good hockey historian that's always. But anyhow,
Barry Shelley?
Bobby Braun, Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
With a broken leg. How many games in the series? With a broken leg. And then there was the kid in Boston a few years ago who wouldn't come off the ice. He had a broken leg and he kept blocking shots. I forget who it was.
That was his father played in the league too.
Yeah. But so there you go. And
here's a good question by Danny. Danny comes up some days. Danny is on fire with questions. Does pain tolerance change? I think it does. It's to me, I was a younger player. Part of who I was, right? Because I wasn't the skilled guy. Part of who I was, my value to the team was that I would play all the time. My first 4 years in the league, didn't miss a game. Herb set me out. Brooks set me out the second season, the last game of the season, and the fourth season. So I would have played 4 years in a row and not missed a game instead of again. But there's a lot of injuries along the way, like a lot of guys. It wasn't just me. And I think when you're younger, you're more willing to I don't know if willing is the word. It just seems like it's more that, just give me a beer and let me play kind of mentality, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think also toward the end of your career, what's a significant injury because you've been injured so many times. And, hey, this is something I can't skate off. I need repairs.
Yeah. And the worst thing, like you mentioned the bad back, getting the bad back, one of the worst things. And I couldn't understand at the time what was going on. It really messed with me mentally too. So I had to be the physical player. And every time I felt like every time I'm going to hit somebody, it's going to screw up my back. Yeah. But the worst thing about it was the way I felt my teammates were looking at me. They didn't say anything to me at all. And maybe they weren't even paying attention. I don't know. But again, I went from being that guy that played all the time to now. And with the back, you can walk around fine when you're not playing. It's when you get on the ice and start playing. And everybody's like, you're thinking, well, are these guys believing that I'm really hurt? Like all these thoughts go on in your mind. It was wild.
I mean, it's one of the things I'm trying not to struggle with, but you do, like right now, I can't even take the garbage out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, you kind of feel like less.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. God forbid. Yeah.
Yeah. That is true, right?
Yeah.
Especially for people that are active all the time, right? Too. And now they can't do things. It's like, and nobody, like everybody understands that you're hurt. They're not picking on you or like that, but it's your thought process going on in your head, right?
Yeah,
everybody's thinking.
100%.
Yeah, that was a frustrating time. Oh God. I was miserable. I think I told you the story. Cap Raider, his coach.
Sure.
He's coaching in LA. Great guy. Cap was fantastic, a real good hockey guy, and just a real good person. It was great to me. He treated me with total respect. We were playing, I think it was before a game, and as he usually did, he would come in and kind of critique, like maybe it was after the game or practice, whatever, but he was breaking down the game, and I had done something wrong on the ice, which I did, and he had to correct it. That was his job. And he'd done it before, no problem. We all make mistakes in the game. You're never going to be perfect. I was so frustrated, and I even as I was doing it, I couldn't stop myself, but I knew it was wrong what I was doing. I snapped back at him, and I said something to him like, "Well, I talked back and really hurt his feelings because we got along well." And again, it's one of those deals. I was in the middle of saying it, and I couldn't stop it. Yeah, it came out. And I went, like 2 seconds later, they walked into the coach's office. I went right in. Cap, I just apologized. I said, Cap, I'm sorry. I'm just so frustrated with myself. He says, "Do you want me to go apologize to the team?" And he said, No, Tommy, that's fine. Don't worry about it. So he understood. But it's just, man, the frustration level was just. And again, I think I've done a better job now looking back at it, kind of figuring out what was going on. But at the time, I couldn't figure it out mentally what was going on. So,
well, and he handled it perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, here's a good point too. With Danny is on fire today. Okay. Treat your back was best. Yes, I do agree with that. Although I'll tell you what, I have learned, and our great coach here will touch on this. Core work and back work. If you, first of all, it'll lessen the likelihood of you getting hurt back, and then you recover much more quickly too. I did not. Again, I was so stubborn. People would tell me stuff, and I was like, "Nah, come on, I'm Tom Laidlaw, right?" So, yeah.
So with the back in particular, my older son Sean called me last week. He was complaining. Now he's one of those long dudes. I mean, he could tie his shoes without bending over, right?
Right.
And he always has back issues because his spine is so long, right? And he said, "Oh, I was putting Icy Hot on it." I said, "Sean, Icy Hot is just it's like Vicks Vapor Rub." Right. Well, yeah. I said, "You need to put real ice on it. You need to get the swelling down in the nerve." Right. And he got relief. I mean, he called me back the next day. I said, "How you feeling?" He said, "Much better." And there's a lot of misconceptions. I used to do it too. When I was young and dumb, I used to roof houses in the summer. Right. And there'd be times, you're carrying those bundles up all day long that your back's out. And I'd get in the shower, put the heat on as hot as I could.
Yeah.
Right. And then my doctor said, "All you're doing is taking inflammation and making it greater." Right. Put ice on it. Yeah.
I remember when I hurt my neck a while ago, and we were doing a show, or I called you or something like that. And same thing. I was putting heat on it, thinking, "Okay, that's it." And you started laughing at me. It's like, no, ice. And plus, I went to the gym. I went to the gym too to make it even worse. And
it's a very common misconception to put heat on it. So the general rule of thumb is ice for 48 hours to bring the swelling down, and then heat to bring the nutrients and get the blood flow going.
Right. So and do you alternate back and forth between ice and heat? Do you do that still?
No. So it's 48 hours straight of ice, and then you begin the heat to bring the blood flow back and to bring nutrients in for healing. But initially, you want to get the inflammation down. So if it's a significant nerve inflammation, let's say with your neck or your low back, you want to ice for 48 hours, have some non-steroidal NSAIDs to bring inflammation down.
Right. And when they say turmeric is good for stop inflammation, does it work for that kind of stuff too, like from an injury?
Absolutely, yeah. So turmeric is a baseline, so you should be taking it daily. I do, and that reduces inflammation in general in your body. And inflammation is really at the root of most disease, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So for instance, there's a direct correlation between gum health levels and cardiac issues.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Here's a good question. I need a knee replacement. Wayne's on spot. Well, don't you think part of it is, and I don't want to say something that your doctors say differently, but don't you think part of it is doing strengthening your knee right now before the surgery?
Yeah. Again, it depends on what type of injury it is. If it's a stability issue, you really can't do much in terms of exercise. But so it's difficult to say. But you certainly want to go into any surgery as healthy and strong as you can be, and that includes keeping your immune system up with quercetin, zinc picolinate, vitamin D, vitamin C. It's really important, especially now that we're going to start hitting the cold and flu season. Keep those levels up.
I'm going to ask you that question. It just came to my mind. What's the worst food possible to eat in any, like, just worst food for you?
In terms of health?
Yeah, health. Like,
Yeah, generally speaking, anything that's fried. Not an air fryer, but anything fried, because and that and trans fatty acids. Trans fatty acids killed a lot of men in this country because they used to say switch from butter to margarine. Margarine is nothing but a stick of trans fatty acids.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Margarine, if you want a heart attack, suck down a stick of that. You'll have one in about 10 minutes.
So I just bought some to replace my butter. What's it called? Those tubs of, that's bad?
No, it depends what it is, but just make sure there's no trans fatty acids. In all likelihood, it's a vegetable oil base or soy. There's a lot of healthier alternatives, but butter in and of itself, if you use it, sparingly, is not bad for you. In fact, there's a lot of people that put butter in the coffee in the morning, because we do need some of those fats that are in butter.
Right. Oh, that's
but again, you don't take a piece of bread and slather a whole stick on it and eat it. Expect to do well.
Do you eat bread at all?
Very rarely, Tom.
Very.
And I could. And here's the thing, I could eat 5 loaves in a row.
Oh,
easily. Yeah.
That is true. Good. Yeah. Again, I hate to say it, but when you mentioned like putting butter on bread,
please. Yeah. My mother used to make, because she was Italian, sauce. There'd always be sauce on the stove, and you grab the bread and
Oh, I know. Oh, God.
Yeah.
How about bruschetta? Like, bruschetta is good. You get the vegetables on top and then the bread underneath, right? That's my problem.
Yeah. Oh. But again, every once in a while, it's not going to be bad for you. And you need to live a little, and you need to enjoy life.
Yeah.
You don't want to die all ripped up and looking great, but you're dead.
I know. I'm a little rut. I got a little bit bad food habit going. Well, not bad. I mean, like I said, I ate a couple of steaks there a while ago. At least my bad is not awful, right?
That's what it is. And it's like golf, Tom. They always tell you in golf, a bad shot's okay, an awful shot's awful.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Very, very, very. Nothing better than to have a sausage, egg, and cheese McMuffin. No.
Well,
Barry, don't do it.
Barry, I live in New Jersey, so here it's Taylor ham. It's Taylor ham, egg, and cheese. That's what every construction guy gets in the morning.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
it's like, you have the state bird, the state flag, well, the state sandwich in New Jersey, and everybody from New Jersey will agree with me. It's not pork roll. It's Taylor ham. It's a Taylor ham sandwich.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Oh yeah.
I love veal. How healthy is veal?
I think veal's okay because it's fairly lean meat. There's a lot of debate right now on both sides of the aisle.
Killed a baby cow just to eat it. Don't worry about that. But that's
exactly. That's like lamb, poor little lamb. But what it is a big debate now in certain circles. With some people believe in a strictly carnivore diet. They don't eat anything but meat. Okay, and on the other side of the coin, there's a lot of research, and some people will tell you, for longevity, greatly reduce the amount of meat we eat.
Yeah.
So I think, as like most things, Tom, you want to be in the middle there somewhere.
Totally. Yeah. Did you see that? Was it on Netflix? They had that video come out where they had the showing how instead of you take out the middleman, so instead of eating the meat, which eats the vegetables, just go eat the vegetables, right? Remember that video that came out? Like made the real case for. Yeah.
So there was, I don't know which one you're in particular, but there was one called Forks Over Knives. The implication being, if you eat correctly, you won't need a knife to cut you up for cardiovascular surgery. And it's two doctors, and they present a case that basically you don't eat meat at all. It's strictly a vegetarian diet. And then there's this other doctor, Ornish is his last name. I forget his first name. He's under the belief of you still eat some meat proteins, but it's much more fiber. And I think the Mediterranean diet for the long term, from what I've read over literally 20 or 30 years, the Mediterranean diet is the one you want to kind of follow. And that's olive oil, which is an extremely healthy oil, fish, lean meats, and a lot of vegetables. And that's pretty much common sense, really, when you come down to it. You're not going to live long.
Yeah, I use avocado oil. Is it?
Avocado oil is good as well. Yeah.
Oh, Susan, we'd have some work to do with you. A slice of cheese pizza? No.
Well, here again, once in a while, it's fine. Problem is, and I'll tell you, my personal, it's like bread. I can't eat. If I eat one slice of pizza, I'm eating the whole pizza.
I know. Yeah.
So I think I sent you a picture of the box, cauliflower crust pizza. And I was like, at first, that's got to be nasty.
Yeah.
Let me try it. Guess what? I like that crust better than regular pizza crust.
Oh, is it? I've never had one. I've seen it. I've never had it. Wow.
And there's all kinds of brands out there. This one I get is Open Nature.
Right.
All organic. And it's great.
Alcohol is pure garbage. Where are you at on alcohol? You don't drink very much at all. You don't hardly ever drink.
Very rarely. And it's toxic. It's poison. I mean, think about it, but again, in moderation, it's a social event.
And I'm not condoning drinking. I want to be really clear with that. But if you do like to have a few cocktails, just make sure it doesn't affect the rest of your life, right? Obviously, don't drink and drive. Make sure that if you're going to get up at 3:30 in the morning or 4:30 in the morning, whatever it is, don't say, "Oh no, I'm going to sleep in today because I had a few drinks." Right? That's the key.
I'll tell you this much: there's a lot of research that shows for athletes, alcohol is poison. I mean, it's lowers testosterone levels, and that's why men get when you see men who drink a lot of beer,
right,
a lot of alcohol, they get the man boobs because their testosterone levels lowered from the alcohol. And I brought that paper up to Robbie Ftorek 100 years ago up in Albany. He was like, "This is great, Mark, but I can't show. These guys won't believe it. They'll just take it."
Well, the thing is, when you're playing, you're burning so many calories and sweating it all out, so you can drink beer all day long.
It's really hard on your liver because you have to process it, because your body can't identify alcohol as a protein, fat, or carbohydrate. So it stores it as fat. It says, "I don't know what to do." Your body says, "I don't know what to do with this stuff," and it's stored as fat. And it's also very hard for your liver to process, and that's why you get the cirrhosis of the liver with what? Fatty tissue.
Right.
The liver. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. And it's just empty calories too, right? I mean, the goal is to have food go in your body for a reason, right? Yes, you've got to enjoy it, but you're putting you on protein.
That's who you're with.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
That's who you're with.
All right. So is there a distinction with alcohol? So Mike is asking here, how about red wine? Alcohol is alcohol.
Alcohol is alcohol, Mike. So if you want to think of it this way, a full bottle of beer is equivalent to one shot of alcohol. And your body metabolizes alcohol across the board at a certain rate. So it's not going to be a difference if you have one shot or one beer. Your body will metabolize the same amount of alcohol in the same amount of time. And it will cause the same amount of stress on your body.
Right. There's just some studies that say, though, like red wine in moderation, like a glass every day or something like that.
Yeah, because it's got red wine in particular has resveratrol, which is a very, very proficient antioxidant. And they believe, again, through some research, that it's heart healthy. So again, Mike, have a glass of red wine with dinner is fine. Would I do it every night? You might be able to, but just don't drink the whole bottle. Yeah.
But once you open it, though, I mean,
you got to drink it. Yeah, that's the problem. Make sure you get enough to kill a bottle of one glass each.
Oh, that's funny. Wine is like that too, though, right? Like you talked about the bread before, the pizza. Like once you start
what I really should research, I don't know off the top of my head, but like if you use, like I use red wine to cook with once in a while.
Yeah.
Right? I did last night. I was making some green beans I cut up some cherry tomatoes, put a little Worcestershire sauce in there, and I just splash it with some red wine, and it burns off the alcohol. I wonder if it burns off the resveratrol or it's still in there. I have to find that out, because that's another way you can introduce that good part of the red wine, the resveratrol. You know, I knew a woman who got pulled over and she was drinking, and the cop said, "You're actively drinking and driving?" She said, "No, it's water." He said, "Lady, that's wine." She goes, "You know, damn Jesus, he did it again."
Oh, that's good. I didn't know where you were going with that one. That's good. Sugar-free vodka. Oh, wow. Interesting.
Again, the problem, Lorraine, is that the alcohol in and of itself, go back to your body doesn't know what it is, so it stores it as fat. It's mostly on the liver, right. And that's where you get the fatty liver. But again, if you're going to have a glass of wine or a couple drinks every once in a while, have at it. You know, I think the easy, we all know, and let's be honest with ourselves, we all know what is responsible drinking and what's irresponsible drinking.
Right.
I think most people would be lying to you if they didn't tell you that they could understand the difference.
Yeah, totally. I'm just thinking too, like hot dogs. We bounce around here a bit, but hot dogs are terrible for you too, right?
Well, there was a study. I keep talking about these studies, but they're significant. Children who ate 9 or more hot dogs a week, it's kind of a bit, have a much, much higher rate of leukemia. And the problem with a hot dog or any processed meats, whether it's hot dog, whether it's salami, bologna, pepperoni, they use sodium nitrate as a preservative in those meats. And sodium nitrate, when it's in your body, converts to sodium nitrate, nitrosamines, which are carcinogenic, meaning they cause cancer. So, but here's the thing, Lori. You can go to the store, and if you go to organic area, there are a ton of what we call deli meats that are sodium nitrate free. And you'll notice a big difference. Like, you're not going to be really thirsty after you eat those meats. So that's a safe, much safer, if you want to go down that road to make a sandwich, meat to use.
So the sodium nitrate is what you want to stay away from.
Correct. 100%. Stuff is just
we need to talk to you. That's what I'm having now. A hot dog with cheese on it, along with a plate of mac and cheese with bacon. Stop it. You're not doing that. I don't believe it. I'm not believing you.
He's a beauty. I love him.
Yeah. Him and Ira.
Yeah.
Hot dog. That's a good point too. You eat a hot dog, then it's like you get that hot dog taste in your mouth for the next week. Right?
Yeah, but we all listen. Nothing better than a dirty water tube steak.
I know.
In the city from the corner vendor with a little mustard and sauerkraut. Nothing better. But that's it. Have one a year. Have 2 a year. Yeah, come on. You're gonna go to the ball game. Have a couple hot dogs and a beer.
Same thing with beer too, right? That you hot day and you get the beer and the ice, and it's just like oh god.
Yeah.
We used to back in the farm, so we all had pickup trucks. We'd go play hockey, pretty much every night during the summer, even. And in the back of the pickup truck, we'd have a cooler of beer. So that after you're done, you're just thirsty, right? And there's nothing else to do. So we go drive out in the middle of a field, keep our lights on, so everybody now knows where you are, and all the trucks pull up, and we're out there drinking beer, man. They go down quick, but right after the game too.
And I would imagine those are some great times.
You know what? It's fun. You know, it's funny. You thinking back then, you're like, oh, geez, I think we wish we lived in the city to have something to do. Now you think back and go, oh, that was fantastic.
I would take that today.
Yeah.
To get back to that life.
Yeah.
Really would. Yeah.
Same thing as a drive-in theater too, right? Is there a drive-in theater around here?
There's one in Warwick, New York, which is still operational. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that was like when I'm a child of the 60s, a little older than you, but about the same. We used to go twice a month on a Saturday night. You put that gray box and you roll the window up and it sits there, and you'd see 2 movies, right?
Yeah.
And if you got, I wasn't Canada, but if you got here early enough, underneath the huge screen had like a little playground for the kids to go play.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
And then in between, you'd go to the snack bar because they got the dancing boxes.
Right. How about going to the A&W restaurant where they get the tray hanging off your window as well, right? Sure. Go out and order a little bit. Oh man, I remember those days. That was a big thing. Coming off the farm and going to an A&W and sitting in the car eating, that was like big time.
It's magical. It's magical.
Yeah, magical is the word. Yeah, very good. Well, good to see you again. I'm glad you're doing better. I know it's still sore, but what was you saying before it started? What was you saying before you started? What was the saying?
The bigger the setback, the greater the comeback.
I like it.
So if I could, Tom, just like in closing, Buddy Harrison, who is in the professional boxing community down in Washington, D.C., his son Dusty is a professional. He's been up here, fought and sparred some of our guys, local guys. Buddy ran a gym in Southeast D.C. He took care of all the kids in the neighborhood. It's in a pretty tough section. He would also fill up the back of his pickup truck with not beer, but with clothes and stuff like that, and distribute it to people who were on the street. He even built some plywood, like kind of a closet, and would stuff it with food and leave it on corners for homeless people.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately, he was shot and killed on Friday.
Oh, wow.
And it's a pretty sad day for the boxing community, but just it strikes home, really illustrates what a great man he was and what a sad ending. And I just wanted to remember him.
Yeah, that's very nice. That's a sad story. I was very lucky on Friday. The Rangers had me go into the Bronx to do an event. Yeah, it was cool. Kids were fantastic. You know, John Starks was there for the basketball side. The Knicks had a little presentation. We were outside. Kids, you know, it's really interesting. I know you've seen this so many times yourselves. When they first start, most of these kids have never seen a hockey stick before or anything. So they're really tentative. But by the time they get going, they get the full sweat going. This one kid was really funny. So I was playing with him. I was being a hot dog. You know, I scored a couple of goals. And he comes flying. I was just turning around. He comes flying over to me. Like he jumps on me, like hugging me and everything. It was a decent sized kid. They was fine. They were really good. They were great kids. The teachers were fantastic.
You know, I have to tell you. So I think I mentioned my half sister in Florida, her husband, African American, and I'm helping out his niece's son, right? This young man, Trey, 13 years old. By the way, he's got size 13 feet. He's huge already. And he's athletic. So he's really coming into the boxing. Wants to learn how to play hockey. I'm like, okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Great stuff.
All right, good to see you. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. See you guys.